while I talk about the difference between habits and routines and how you build a habit using your routines of either journaling, which I encourage everybody to do, or walking day to day and finding time in our schedules, because it seems like the things we want to do, we do on vacation, but then when life gets in the way, those same things that we know are good for us, we never make time for those. So how do we build a habit? What's the difference between a routine and a habit? And how can we set ourselves up for success? Hey everybody, it's Aaron from GoGrava.com. Got my new hat here. You can buy in the store. It's a blue hat, embroidered in Sheridan, Wyoming. I'm out for a walk today. My times are usually 6 a.m. or 7 p.m. in the evening, where I find time to walk, and I make time for myself to go on a walk, build some endurance, and then just feels good to get out of the house from time to time. So we just got back, me and the family went on a vacation to Rehoboth Beach, and we just got back a couple of days ago. And it was really interesting because we're going to talk about routines and habits and how to start setting up habits and things like that. But one of the things you notice is when you're on vacation, you have extra time. So we all kind of do things that we normally don't have time to do. So for my wife, that's like, reading a book. And she loves to read books on vacation. She takes some time for herself. And that's really something that really she likes, she feels good about. And for me, it's getting up early in the morning, going for a walk, seeing the sunrise, which there was a lot of people on Rehoboth Beach that were watching the sunrise every morning, quite a few people. And I got some drone footage at Rehoboth Beach, and we can take a look at that while I talk about the difference between habits and routines and how you build a habit using your routines of either journaling, which I encourage everybody to do, or walking day to day and finding time in our schedules, because it seems like the things we want to do, we do on vacation, but then when life gets in the way, those same things that we know are good for us, we never make time for those. So how do we build a habit? What's the difference between a routine and a habit? And how can we set ourselves up for success? Our habits govern our lives, literally. Research shows that around half of our daily interactions are really driven by repetition. This is why the field of psychology really studies, habits, or they spend so much time writing about how to establish habits or keep positive habits. Something similar to sleep, regular sleep, and exercise, a healthy diet. If done regularly, a habit can improve our work, relationships, and our mental health. But a habit doesn't come naturally to anybody. And what does it really take to build a new habit? Now, there's plenty of books and plenty of podcasts you could look at to see how to build new habits or how to build a 21-day habit. But there's really a difference here between what we'd call a routine versus what we call a habit. Now, many assume that a routine is really interchangeable with a habit, but really it kind of is a common fallacy, one that tends to end up in disappointment. When we fail at forming new patterns of behavior, we often end up blaming ourselves, rather than the advice that we read from someone who doesn't really understand what can and cannot be a habit. A habit really is a behavior that is done with little or no thought, while a routine involves a series of behaviors frequently and intentionally repeated. A behavior really has to be regularly performed routine before it becomes a habit at all. And the problem that a lot of us have is that we skip the routine phase. It makes sense. Unlike habits, routines can become or are uncomfortable and require a concerted effort. Waking up early in the morning to take a walk, or spending 10 minutes in the evening to go for a walk are rituals that initially, when you do them, are hard to keep up. But over time, they can become habits that become ingrained in our daily lives, and it doesn't feel so strange to do them. I mean, imagine not brushing your teeth before going to bed or not drinking a cup of coffee with breakfast. These are habits that we've already formed, and avoiding them might even make us feel bad. So, to attempt to turn a routine into a habit, we have to do a couple of things. So keep in mind, some routines may blossom into habits, but not all of them will. And some things, while quantifiable, require too much concentration, deliberation, and effort to make the transition. For that reason, playing an instrument or cleaning your apartment or journaling don't fall into the habit category. They're not effortless behaviors that can be done without conscious fault. So the point I'm trying to make here is pick the behavior you want to turn into a habit wisely. Maybe you want to drink more water. Maybe you want to walk more. Maybe you want to journal more. Whatever you choose, be realistic about the process. It will take patience, it will take self-discipline, and it will take commitment. There's no such thing as the 21 days to start a new habit. Now, the amount of time it takes to start a habit will vary from person to person. Developing a habit of eating a chocolate in the morning is probably an easy habit to take on because it's pleasurable. You get that instant dopamine hit. While trying to exercise or go for a walk at 7 p.m. in the evening may take much longer. Now, in my experience, journaling and walking or any type of exercise behavior takes months of practice. You don't start feeling the benefits of long walks until maybe you're 4 months into the process. And all of a sudden you'll have this moment where you're like, oh my God, I feel really good right now. And that is when your routine starts becoming a habit. Now, while you're doing these routines, you have to really reflect on what you're trying to achieve and why. So it's really reaffirming your goals of why you're doing these routines and why you want this habit. If you want to be a walker, say your goal is to be a consistent walker. Say your goal is to walk 6 miles at one time. Gain acceptance of this goal that you have every time you go for a walk and why you care about it. Or consider, why is it important to care about this? Or do you simply love to walk? Understanding the why will help motivate when you inevitably hit a roadblock building this new routine. So we have to prepare for roadblocks, right? That's why I talk about journaling, because familiarizing yourself with your own blockers in the beginning is so important, because you can quickly identify and manage them in the future when they arise, which they will. Now, our biggest time as adults who have jobs and have kids is usually time. That's our biggest blocker, is time, and those blockers will arrive. So maybe a busy schedule has kept you from hitting the gym or going for a walk every day. To avoid this occurrence from happening in the future, always block out in your journal, when you build up and start to see your habits, 30 to 60 minutes of uninterrupted time on your calendar. Now, maybe you're just not feeling motivated enough lately. To keep yourself accountable, maybe you need to find an ally or two to share your goals with, a friend. This could be a trusted friend, a peer, a partner, a coworker, or a family member. Make sure you share your ambitions, intentions, plans, and maybe even fears. Write something on Facebook. Post it on Grava's Facebook site or our Instagram. Put a picture up. Show that you're committed to this, because we have seen that people who show commitment and talk about their commitment have an increased odds of being successful. So, make a schedule and set micro habits. In the spirit of keeping things simple, You know, get those micro habits going. Incrementally adjust that over time. You don't have to start walking every single day. Maybe it's once a week. Maybe it's on the weekend. But make them feel like stepping stones and add another micro habit each day. Now, you can create Google Alerts or set things on your calendar to talk about walking that pop up from time to time. Maybe you have a problem with sleep and that's your issue. Find out what your blockers are and set parameters or ways to work around those blockers. And lastly, the last thing I want to talk about is you got to give yourself a break. Show yourself some compassion. Don't forget to be compassionate with yourself as you embark on this journey towards more thoughtful routines and hopefully better habits. Any long-term change is going to take time. That's just the reality. There will be ups and downs, but you are capable if you've made it this far. If you're watching Grava's YouTube channel here in the very beginning, you were at the very beginning of your routine and habit phase of becoming an adventurer. Because let's not forget, what we're really trying to do is become more adventurous in our lives. We're trying to build a little bit of walking endurance. So when we take the kids to Disney World or we go walking on the beach, we're not the ones always sitting down, always needing a break. We can take trips to the Rocky Mountains or to maybe South America, and we have some endurance to do the things that we would really love to do. And there's no age limit or weight limit here. It's really all up to you. So take these tools, or hopefully this advice helps guide you on your compass, or provide you a compass. And when you feel off track, which is totally normal, by the way, you know, you can still try something new, identify your blockers. Now, let's go ahead and get started on our new walking habit. Okay, everybody, I hope you learned something about routines and habits. It is not as easy as you think. Some habits are a lot harder than others to develop. For me, coffee was an easy habit to develop through routines, I think, when I was 16 years old. So I love coffee. I take it everywhere, wherever I go. Camping, bikepacking, you know, I got to have my coffee. So maybe it's not a great habit. I don't know. Now, with that said, we have our Grava hats in our store. We have our blue cap, nice, comfortable, stretchy hat that you can wear outdoors or anywhere. It's a great hat. You can find it in our store and other products like walking shirts when you're outside sweating, or these cotton t-shirts in our store. And if you buy a Founders shirt, you actually be part of our Founders program. So I'm doing the first Founders program in a couple of weeks. I hope when I get my prototype bicycle bags in, all Founders will have access to free prototype bags so we can get feedback. You get a free bag, I get feedback. So don't forget to sign up, register with us, and buy a Founders shirt. With that said, everybody, have a great evening. Build those routines, turn them into habits, and understand it's not always easy, but you can do it. Bye.